Hello, everyone. It's Karen here. I am joining from Costa Rica, sunny Costa Rica right now. So thank you so much for being here in one more session for Peace Revolution website. And this month we are talking about healing traumas from the past. And today I choose an interesting topic, which is how childhood trauma is related to addictions. Okay, so we're gonna discuss this for the next 20 minutes or so. I invite you, as soon as you connect, to type your name and where are you visiting from, where are you joining from, and in the meantime, I will share this live session from my social media personal sites. So I invite you also to share so more people can benefit out of this session. So we will just give a few moments so the people can connect. Awesome. So I highly suggest that you go on and check all the sessions from this month. All this information have been very, very helpful for me and through my healing process and self-development process as well. I would like to share a little bit about me. I'm a yoga instructor and also a mindfulness and meditation teacher. And I found through this self-development program from Peace Revolution a very interesting healing process in my life. Over the past 7 to 8 years, I've been meditating with this platform, and the transformation in my life have been incredible. I went from many addictions in my life and let's say negative behaviors to having control over the 4 main areas in my life and getting in control over my mind and emotions, which is very, very important. Emotions is a very important part of the topic today as well. So I was not able to see all of this if I didn't meditate before, or I didn't come to a place to quiet my mind. I also say that yoga was a very, very helpful tool during this process of transformation and healing. So if you can search about any yoga sequence or attend a yoga practice, yoga has a magical power within yourself. You not even notice, but things are happening when you practice yoga as well. So you're not only connecting with your physical body, physical sensations, but you also bring the awareness of the mind to everything you do. And of course, your inner self, your higher self, is also getting benefits out of this practice. You get connected with the source of inner wisdom. So I really suggest that you practice any method, any technique that help you out, releasing emotions from the past, releasing traumas, releasing patterns, and things that keep you away from being happy and at peace. Because at the end, this is what we all want, right? We all want to be happy. We all want to be at peace. So that's my highly suggestion, that you go ahead and explore a little bit more about yoga and meditation. We have a great program here at Peace Revolution, which is called Self-Development Program. You can go online to peacerevolution.net and start the program right away. It's in different languages, and you will have a full community to support your development process. So I highly suggest that you join as soon as you can. And in the meantime, we will discuss today, as I said before, how childhood trauma is related to addictions. Okay, so we first are going to discuss some general topics about trauma and addictions, how the behavior of our parents shaped the person we are today. Thank you, Tanya, for joining. Thank you so much for being here. I'm happy to have you. So please feel free to share any comment, to ask any questions that you might have during this session or afterwards, and we will be more than happy to get back to you and get more ideas about these live sessions that we are trying to share with all of you. So as I said before, I've been doing a lot of research on this topic, and I did it for myself. So this is something I can tell you with confidence that this is how I feel it. This is my point of view. It doesn't mean that it's the last truth of everything, but you can go ahead and explore these concepts, and then we can, discuss about these afterwards. So according to Dr. Gabor Mate, he's a specialist when it comes to addictions. He treats people in Canada, in Vancouver, which is the highest area of addictions. And he's been working for several years with patients with different addictions and traumas. And he said his definition for addiction is any behavior where a person craves and finds a temporary pleasure or relief in something, some action or some thought, and then suffers negative consequences as a result of this act, and is unable to give it up despite all the negative consequences. Okay, so in my personal example, in my personal life, I used to drink a lot of alcohol, and it became to a point that I was out of my control. So I started drinking for no reason, actually, before it was to socialize, to go out with friends. Then it became a habit, so I was drinking almost on a daily basis. And as I said before, I didn't know exactly the reason why, but it became like an addiction for me. Why I know it's an addiction? When there is something that makes me feel bad, or it got negative consequences in my health, in my emotions, in my relationship with others. For my example, it was causing me a lot of trouble at work. I was breaking the bonds with my family as well. My health was getting bad as a result of drinking too much, sleeping too bad, not eating well, not taking care of myself. So as a combination of that, I knew something was hurting me in different levels, but I continued doing that action, even though I knew had negative consequences. So this is what we call, or in this case, Dr. Gabor Mate refers to addiction, something that you can't stop doing, but it brings negative consequences. So now I want to step into definition of trauma, because many people feel scared about the word trauma, but you don't need to be scared about this word, because trauma is a process. It's a distressing or disturbing experience that happens inside you when you go through emotions that you can process on your own. Okay, for example, when the mother have a baby in the first months, some doctors advise when the baby is crying, let it cry, and adjust the baby to breastfeeding to a schedule, right? So I heard the scenario where the baby is crying. Actually, Dr. Gabor Mate mentioned it in one of his examples. He used to cry a lot 6 weeks after he was born, and the mother let him cry for a few hours because the doctor said don't feed him before it's time to feed him. So this baby, as a result that he is crying, You know, he is asking for attention, he is asking for food, he is asking for love and affection and warmth, and the mother don't attend to that emotions, then the child grow up with the trauma, because he learns that his emotions are not so important. All right, so a trauma can be any distressing situation that we faced when we are childs. So these have different stages. The most important age in our lives are the 3 first years. Okay, why these 3 first years? Because is when we start being more independent. Okay, when you're a baby, you completely depend on others, on your mother, your father, or people around you to take care of you. And when you start growing up, before 3 years, you start learning things. You start being a little bit independent, and you also start developing your brain. It's the developing of your brain. So anything that happened in those 3 first years will shape the rest of your life. So after that 3 first years, there is 7 years of life that are crucial for a child's life. When it comes from, as I said before, being totally dependent to gain some kind of independence, and the brain is susceptible to being changed. Okay, so anything that makes the child insecure in this period of time, it might be developed into a trauma for them. So this is why parenting must be a mature decision made by a person that ensures his or her or their own happiness first. Why is this? Okay, so when the kids start growing up, this might be the period between 3, 7 years, maybe a little more, but let's say these are the crucial years. They start learning patterns from their parents, what they do, how they feel, are they paying me enough attention, are they accompanying me in my process. So something very important is to be present with the child. If you are watching this and you have a baby or a kid or even a teenager, the most important thing that you can give to them is your own happiness. And after that is your presence in everything they do. When the child starts going through a tantrum, you normally get upset, you normally raise your voice, and you normally start arguing with the child because of their behavior. But in this case, the suggestion from the specialist is you are present to their emotions, you are present to their anger, you are present to their sadness or whatever they're going through, and you just be there for them. And the energy and the tone of voice that you refer to them when it comes to a controlling step in the growing process, or when it comes to put limits in their behaviors or their actions, you can do it from a place of peace and stillness. So they will catch up this energy, this tone of voice from you, and they will eventually calm down. So this is the suggestion, as I said before, from the specialist, and how you can grow a child without the traumas. Then everyone is exposed to trauma, okay? And they said that everyone that is addicted was traumatized once in their life. But not everyone traumatized became addicted. This is what the studies shows. So why the person become addicted? Okay, this can be from different reasons, different causes. One is the childhood trauma, and another one might be the family history of addiction, a mental illness, or the use of pharmaceuticals, okay, in a habit form. So it's not only the trauma that the child go through, but it's also the traumas from their parents that can be passed over generations. For example, workaholism. How many of you know at least one person that is addicted to work? Okay, work brings some kind of reward. When you are lacking of attention, are you lacking of control or power, you work to get a reward, because when you work, that's something that is well seen in the society, is rewarded. So you become addicted to that action so you can fill up all the emptiness inside yourself. So when a parent is a workaholic, he comes home, he brings all this stress from not being at work and now having to be a father, and not being able to, by the way. So the child will take that, the information that he's getting is, oh, I am guilty because my father or my mother is distressed and is not happy. Okay, so that's the energy that parents are sending to their child. So any addiction from the parents can cause a consequence in their child. So if we study our past, it might be many of the reasons why we develop an addictive behavior. And by addictions, we are talking about a complex process that involves brain, body, emotions, psychology, and even social relationships, okay, like codependence relationships, and so on. So therefore, any intoxicants like alcohol, drugs, smoking, and any other types of addiction keeps your brain stimulated and enhances your ability to perceive and feel the change. So the level of clarity of your mind gets limited when you are under intoxicants. So you might take the wrong decisions. This is how parenting can be threatened by an addiction, because you don't see the importance of giving your child a normal or a desired parenting behavior. Okay, so some symptoms, I want to talk about some of the symptoms that might indicate a childhood trauma, which can be depression, for example, which is a very common one. Depression, anxiety, irritability for no reason, blaming others for your own emotions, restlessness, the need to do something, which is the case of workaholism. You have the need to do something, and you can't be satisfied if you're not doing that action or that thing. So when you are facing these challenges, these obstacles in your life, you're feeling depressed, you're feeling irritable, you don't feel comfortable doing nothing, being in your own space, being at silence. This is a good thing, actually, because it indicates that something is missing in you, within you. So if you have any of these symptoms, might be a trauma from your past, from your childhood, and might indicate that you are going through an addiction and that something is missing inside. So I want to jump now into what can happen if you are facing these challenges, okay? So when the kid, let's say it's in a place of emptiness, as soon as he grows up, he turns that emptiness into addictions because they need to fulfill whatever was unfulfilled before. So this is how trauma is directly related to addiction. If we are going through an addiction process, so the first thing to do is admit that you have an obstacle and that you can manage that on your own. That's the first step. And the second step is to understand there is divine force, there is a supreme energy within yourself that control things. Okay, so you surrender to that energy and you trust that something else is in control. So you don't carry that responsibility, so you don't carry that weight in your shoulders that you have to fix everything in your life. So if this is your case and you are going through an addicted behavior, the first thing to do is admit that you're going through this process. You can't keep going on your own. You might need help from a group. You might need support from a specialist. And second of all, to trust that there is a force within yourself that can help you get through this behavior, addictive behavior. So I think that's the main things I wanted to point it out. Of course, as I said at the beginning, I want you to know that you can always assist yourself by a personal practice of yoga, for example, of meditation, for example, which is a great tool to control your mind and get control over your emotions. And this way you can overcome any addictions. I elaborated a little bit more in the Spanish live that I did last Wednesday for the group Medita, Conecta, Vive. So if someone is listening to this live and wants to deep more in the addiction process and how to overcome addictions, then I invite you to watch the session from last Wednesday at Medita, Conecta, Vive. I want to thank everyone for being part of this live. Ayame, Armando, Emiliano, Patricia, Maria Luisa, Paula, and Laura. So thank you everyone for being here today. I hope this information was helpful, and let's see next month. We will have a different topic coming from next month and a lot of live meditations. I invite you to still attune with this channel so you can enjoy all the meditations and all the lives that we will be hosting to share with you all. So this is Karen from Costa Rica. Thank you very much and see you next time.